Good evening, I'm Camden Cohn, and our sports ticker is brought to you by the experienced advisors at Stonebridge Wealth Systems. Earlier today, the Big Ten Conference announced that Husker softball dual threat Alexis Jensen was named Big Ten Freshman of the Week. In the Circle, Jensen went 2-0 with a 0.64 ERA and struck out 13 while only walking 4 across 11 innings. Offensively, she hit .333 with all 3 of her hits going for extra bases. In other Husker news, 3 Husker volleyball players were named to the U.S. Women's U21 national team today. Campbell Flynn, Manaya Obeche, and Kiani Williams were 3 of the 27 athletes selected to the roster. For more information, visit Huskers.com. And finally, Husker basketball star Bryce Sanford announced today that he would be officially returning to Nebraska for his senior season. Our sports ticker is brought to you by Stonebridge Wealth Systems, navigating you to and through the retirement of your dreams. Local advisors, a disciplined process, the retirement compass. Visit StonebridgeIWM.com. Coming up next is Hour 1 of Sports Nightly right here on the Huskers Radio Network.
To you live from Memorial Stadium, it's Sports Nightly. All the Huskers, all the time. Sports Nightly is presented to you by the NDOT Highway Safety Office, who remind you to buckle up and put the phone down.
The 1-1. This one ripped into right center field. That will score. Stokes coming around third, now being waved home is Moyer. Nebraska takes the lead. A 2 RBI single by Case Sanderson. Base hit to the outfield the way Jeter runs. Should be another one for the Huskers. This pitch is hit high in the air to deep center. Brooks chasing it to the track. Wall gone. A 2-run blast off the bat of Case Sanderson. His second of the game, and Nebraska gets some much-needed runs here in the 8th. It's 10-7 Cornhuskers. Benner's second and third, 2 outs. 2-0 Huskers in the 6th. The 1-1 to Hoffman. She swings, grounds back up the middle, past the pitcher, taken by the second baseman. She'll have no play. Runner trying to score. The throw home, bobbled. Kuzak touches the plate, so she scores. It's a 2-run single up the middle and a 4-0 lead for Nebraska. One on the way from Jacobson, and Fromm swings and drives it. Center field and deep, and it is long gone. Home run, Jordy Fromm. A grand slam for Jordy. And a 10-1 lead for the Huskers.
Now, here are your hosts, Jessica Coody and Kyle Crooks on the Huskers Radio Network.
Hey, everybody. Welcome into the show. Happy Monday to you. It was a busy weekend, but Kyle, did you get any pie over the weekend?
No, I didn't. I know this is for those that don't tune in every single day. This is a
Some people are like, what the heck are you talking about?
throwback to a conversation we had last week when we were talking about Fred Hoiberg and his favorite choice of pie based off his press conference and how he was talking about slicing up the NIL pie or whatever it was. And we got an alarming text in here, too, about somebody's favorite pie.
Sour cream raisin pie.
I mean, you could put 5,000 things in front of me, and I'd eat that before sour cream raisin pie.
Ketchup?
I might eat a ketchup pie. that was an alarming text message that we had.
Well, I'm also ready for your full Masters breakdown.
Yeah, you know what? So I actually did watch the final few holes of Rory, and when I tell you, I don't know how guys do it, because you know you're 2 strokes up going into it. He's scoreboard watching. He knows the deal. And then he cuts that drive, shanks it into the woods. They're talking about, he's going to have to play up the 10 fairway. And I'm saying, there's no way in my mental capacity that I could get a bogey here and save it. I would have a 7 on that hole. Of course, he's a generational golfer, but the fact that the drama of that tee shot of 18 and how that played out, and then Scheffler's waiting in the wings, and man, that was drama towards the end.
All right, well, let's get to it, because only an hour for me and Kyle, because it's been on the show today. We've got our baseball hour coming up here in hour number 2, so lots to get to here in just an hour for us. So big news, I guess, of the day. We knew it was coming, but Bryce Sanford officially announcing that he's going to be back next year. And again, another huge piece for Husker men's basketball.
That's good news, ain't it?
Yeah, great news.
It's great
Fantastic news. Incredible news. I'm running out of adjectives, but all the fantastic adjectives, put it in front of the news.
It was the expectation was that he was going to come back. There
Yeah.
was a little bit of hesitation from I guess, fans' standpoint because of the NBA and where he graded out there. We know that he's dealing with the sports hernia. He'll have to have surgery on that and have the handful of weeks recovery that's necessary along with that. But that's a huge boost to, one, not just your team, but also the interest in prospective transfers, candidates that look at this roster and see what's here with Braden Frager, the Big Ten Sixth Man of the Year, and Bryce Sanford, who's an all-conference player and has all-American ability, to get those two guys back on your roster and understand that you have a really good, solid core. So not just for this team and for Fred and what comes back, but when you're trying to sell Nebraska to transfers about what this roster could be this year, that's a huge deal to get Bryce Sanford back, of course.
So one commitment is, and we talked about this on Thursday, but Sam Orm is coming back, or is committed already, and they've had multiple visits already, one coming in tomorrow. They were prepping for that today. They'll have multiple here coming up over the next several days as they continue to add the pieces to go along with the ones that are coming back. So look, they've been right at it. Right when that portal window opened, again, we went back to going back to the TV show. You couldn't have visits on for a few days after that portal window opened, but Coach Hoiberg had been on the phone constantly lining up visits, and so we heard a lot about his perspective of the pieces that he wants to bring in, and they're being selective about the culture, the fit, and then also, again, you have to factor in the money portion of it and what you already have locked into the pieces coming back. But I think they've got some guys that they really like and that they have good shots at coming in here over the next few days.
Yeah, so the first day you could have people in was this past Friday, so the 10th. I actually saw Fred earlier today at the training table.
Ding.
Ding. Oh, do we have Esteban behind? He doesn't know the bell deal. But I actually said to him that it's probably busier for you now than it is during the season, because you get into the rhythm of doing scouting reports and you get into somewhat of a rhythm. There's no rhythm to any of this because it's new to a lot of just sort of how all this works. There's a lot of things that change each year in the year-to-year free agency. So for him and for the entire staff for Nebraska, your hair's kind of on fire to make sure you're scrambling to put together the best possible roster, not just from a financial standpoint, but who's best to fit in your system. And you have to do it within such a small window, because if you wait long enough, then the guys that you want might be gone.
So I think, again, as we've talked about since that portal window opened, we'll continue to probably get news every day, every other day, including women's basketball as well. They've also got potential additions coming in here over the next several days. I think they'll probably target 3, because I know they've had 4 leave, but Haley Weaver was a senior. Not really, I don't think, a guarantee that she could even get an extra year. I know she had applied for a waiver, but you got the 3 freshmen coming in, and then again the group that they've got coming back. I think they might target 2 or 3 in the portal here and see what they can add to the roster. They've got a really good core coming back. But Matt Coatney was texting us before the show. How about Jess Petrie headed to Indiana?
Yeah. So the news, I mean, they're going to end up somewhere, right? It's just a shock when you first see it for the first time, especially somebody in the
within
conference.
the Big Ten. Yeah.
Within the conference, that stings because you're probably going to play them, right? So all that stuff is on the table, and before you know it, we'll have names that'll be here to Nebraska, and it's all about, Amy knows best, and their staff knows best who's going to fit into their system and what their exact needs are from what they lost. And we said it during the year. I always kind of felt like something was missing with this team, especially on the defensive side. There was a big portion of the year where they just couldn't mount together a lot of stops. It's a team that could score for sure. They got a really big-time player in Britt Prince, as we know, and Maya Hargrove, and getting her back along with Britt is massive. But defensively, I think there's when they go and evaluate, there's got to be maybe more of a toughness and a grit that they got to find on that end of the floor that maybe can help push them in the right direction.
All right, let's switch gears now. How about softball? We had talked about, again, hopefully sweep every series from here on out. Look, they've already dropped in the RPI. They were 2, they were 3, and now they're down to 5. And that's unfortunately just probably going to continue to be the case because the competition that they're playing are pretty far down in the RPI. But you win games like they have. They outscored Wisconsin 23-2, had some shutouts the first couple of days. But look, we had talked to Matt Smith, who is one of the sport administrators for Husker softball, is really dialed into it. as long as they continue to take care of business, it's going to be really hard to keep them out of that top 8.
Yeah, they're not going to keep them out unless they lose a couple games, right?
I think bad losses.
Yeah, you lose 2 out of 3 to Minnesota. You lose a game to Iowa. You're losing a game to Penn State. Like, if you lose games that are head scratchers, then yes. But if things go the way they've been going, you're probably not going to be a two national seed. You're probably not going to be a 3, maybe a 4. I still think when the dust settles on what we think the rest of this season is going to be, knock on wood, I think they're probably a 5 national seed. Will they have the best RPI of, when you look at the RPI, will they be 5th in RPI? Probably not, based on what the remainder of their schedule is.
But there's more to the conversation when they're talking about seeding than just the RPI. Yeah.
There's non-conference strength of schedule. That as a specific piece will be a massive push for Nebraska. A generational talent matters.
Yeah.
When you can build storylines around a player like Jordy Fromm, that matters. Get her to play on her home field in her home state, that matters.
And I think that she's a player you want on the Women's College World Series stage, right?
Yeah. No, I think that stuff, while that's not maybe a metric that is one of those things you say, hey, we base it on star power and things like that. Yeah, but I think they do. I just think Nebraska has proven from pillar to post, start to what eventually be the end of the season here, coming up near the end of the month, that this is one of the top 5 best teams in softball. I don't think whatever they do, with barring a massive collapse, to me, there's nothing that they could do that could tell me they are not one of the 5 best teams in the country, and I think the committee will show that.
So Nebraska 14-1 now in Big Ten play. Washington is 15-0, but Washington's got 2 really tough series coming up. They still have to go to Oregon. That's this weekend, and then they've got UCLA at home. So they've got 2 tough series, and then, of course, Nebraska's got 3. There's only 3 series left before the Big Ten tournament. That's just wild to me. It's gone so fast. It feels like we were just talking about Texas Tech and Texas.
And that's the wild card for everything, especially for baseball, is the conference tournament, because it allows a chance for Nebraska, who have a bye, to have a chance to play some higher RPI games, to play UCLA, potentially Washington, Oregon, play those types of games when you get closer to Selection Sunday, so it's fresh in the memory of the selection committee. Remember that Nebraska played Washington twice early in the season, beat them on opening day, and then lost a 1-run game. I would love to. This is the year that if you wanted Nebraska to have the hardest possible schedule, that a team that's built for a conference schedule, they could play Oregon, Washington, UCLA all in the same season. This is kind of the year that you wanted them to do it. It's a shame they don't play Oregon in a 3-game set this year.
Yeah, and it just stinks too. Like, if Nebraska's doing what they're supposed to do, and again, Washington 15-0, but they do have those tough series coming up. If Nebraska has taken care of business and ended up winning a Big Ten title, it just stinks that if they did get punished, and I hope that they don't. I hope that the committee does the right thing. We'll continue to talk about it as we go along, but again, I don't want to panic, but when you see the RPI drop, you just hope that again, they do the right thing on that front. We'll talk a lot of baseball here coming up because we got a full hour on that. And Mike just texted in, is softball on track to host a regional or super? Yes, that's what we're talking about. It's a shoe-in at this point, I think, for a regional. As long as they don't have just a complete meltdown. We're talking about a regional and a super.
8.
And so you need to be in that top 8 in the rankings. I actually have friends that are still back in Oklahoma. In fact, the play-by-play, Chris Plank, texted me. He said, I feel it coming. It's going to be Nebraska and Oklahoma in the first round of the Women's College World Series. Yeah,
I could see that 100%. Given the, again, storylines, I mean, they sort of match those things up down the line. If things go chalk, there's a good chance that those 2 teams probably could meet in a Women's College World Series. And boy, what theater that would present, not just Jordy, but Hannah, Core, and the matchup, and then the star power that Oklahoma has this year, and the home run power against the pitching of Nebraska that just doesn't give up home runs. That would be, but that's the World Series, right? You get the 8 best teams, and it's just great matchup after great matchup.
We're going to have Nate Rohr on the show on Thursday, so look forward to talking to him. He gave me a shout out on the broadcast, so appreciate that. So
wait for my shout out. I don't know.
You have to text in that you're listening.
Okay, I do listen. I just don't text in. I guess that's my flaw.
I texted him and he gave me a shout out, and then promoted my conversation with Jesse Farrell. So
wow,
good guy.
You really wanted a shout out, huh?
No, I just said, listening while I'm walking Sonny. So not only did he give me a shout out, but Sonny a shout out too.
Wow.
So he might be my favorite now. Sorry, Coatney.
I gave Sonny a shout out on baseball.
You did?
You weren't listening though when I did it.
No, I was not listening.
Yeah. What a coincidence.
All right. So yeah, we'll talk more about that matchup coming up out Minnesota.
You sound like, or you look like you're doing it on the surface of the sun here. Again, with the reflection.
Glowing.
Also, the only thing I hear, like when you talk, is bah, like in cartoons with like the angel that pops out of the light. It's just, if you're watching on YouTube, it is a incredible backlight.
Yeah. We might need to get that.
The sun acts as your ring light, apparently.
We might need to get that figured out before it's like 2 hours of that light.
I think it's, again, I need a tan. Every time we show up and it's sunny outside and it's beaming in the studio, I'm glad we went full screen on me too. Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right, we got to get to a break. Coming up next, it is time for one of our check-ins with President Dr. Jeff Gold. We're going to chat with him, get caught up on all the things happening across our University of Nebraska system. Huskers Radio Network Broadcast Center is sponsored by Akrs, where it's mower season. Get 0% financing, professional setup, and local support you can't get at the big box store. Only at Akrs, the Midwest premier John Deere dealer.
Nebraska Lottery.
Do you have a new lotto game called Nebraska Pick 4?
Yes, sir. It costs just $1 to play. There's a $6,000 top prize with drawings every day, and you can choose from 6 different bet types.
Kind of like Nebraska Pick 3 with a bigger jackpot and more bet options?
Yes, sir. Any other questions I can answer?
Yeah, I misplaced my phone. Do you know where it is?
You're using it.
Ah, so I am. You lottery people know everything.
Straight bet top prize odds 1 in 10,000.
Returns on the farm are under pressure, with market challenges and environmental hurdles putting every seed to the test. But you have an ace in the hole, Streamline Ag. Designed for every phase of growth and development, Streamline Ag gives your seed what it needs to thrive. From enhanced stand establishment and early emergence to essential nutrition and stress management. Streamline Ag gives your seed the power to reach its full potential. Visit us at streamline-ag.com to learn more.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts. From the chant of Husker Power to Allo Fiber powering your home and Husker Nation, Allo is the teammate you can trust. Whether you're streaming at home with Allo Internet, watching on the go with DirecTV through Allo, or checking stats and scores on Allo Mobile, Allo keeps you in the game. With Allo plus DirecTV plus Allo Mobile, you get the ultimate teamwork. Internet you can count on, TV you can stream anytime, anywhere, and nationwide coverage you can depend on. Bench the other guys and team up with the official Internet, TV, and mobile partner of the Huskers.
You expect your home to protect everything you love, but you don't expect the ways water is breaking down your basement and damaging your home. Mold, cracks, and of course visible water are just a few signs your basement is compromised. But there's one way to get answers to all your concerns. A free home inspection from Groundworks. We put water back in its place. Get your free inspection at groundworks.com. License number C142293.
I would have never had the chance to see my daughter become a doctor.
Because my mom wore her seatbelt that day, I get to hug her when I go home.
And then it clicked. Because I wore my seatbelt, I learned that one moment in time can change a person's life forever.
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
The day we were hit was the second to last day of our high school careers.
We were about to graduate as best friends together.
And then it clicked. Because we wore our seatbelt that day, we still get to experience life together.
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Once a year, a rhythm thunders across the countryside. It can't be tamed. It can only be driven.
It's the final days of Ford Truck Month. The stampede of savings is running. But it's about to run out. So hurry into your Midwest Ford dealers today. During the final days of Truck Month, get $7,250 cash or 0% for 60 with zero down and no payments for 90 days, plus $1,000 cash on F-150.
Get to Ford Truck Month.
The color red means something to us. It means tough, ready, and powerful. It means our standards are high, and we expect the highest level of performance on and in the field. So while the Huskers are getting it done on the football field, you can count on Massey Ferguson tractors to get it done in your field. With its seamless CVT transmission and efficient AGCO-powered engine, You'll keep charging down the field all season long. Check out the full line of Massey Ferguson equipment at Osceola Implement in Osceola and True Ag and Turf in Falls City, Columbus, and Osmond.
Nebraska Lottery.
Do you have a new lotto game called Nebraska Pick 4?
Yes, sir. It costs just $1 to play. There's a $6,000 top prize with drawings every day, and you can choose from 6 different bet types.
Kind of like Nebraska Pick 3 with a bigger jackpot and more bet options?
Yes, sir. Any other questions I can answer?
Yeah, I misplaced my phone. Do you know where it is?
You're using it.
Ah, so I am. You lottery people know everything.
Straight bet top prize odds 1 in 10,000.
Woodhouse has been a trusted partner in your everyday since 1975. Shop for your next vehicle with the home team at Woodhouse and the official auto dealer of Nebraska Athletics. Welcome back to Sports Nightly, and welcome back our president of the University of Nebraska system, Dr. Jeff Gold. It's great to see you back here in the studio.
It's always great to be in the studio with you. I really enjoy coming here. The facilities are absolutely amazing, and it gives us an opportunity to talk sports and so many other important things.
We love talking about that because you are a big Husker fan, and hey, I don't think I'm spoiling anything here, but we just brought through the first flag football recruit that was here on campus and seeing all of the facilities, and we're wowed by all of this here on the second floor.
You know, that's what I hear. I can't tell you how excited I am about meeting the coaches and the team, and of course, meeting this first recruit. That would be really great if we can do that.
All right, well, let's keep it with sports because what an amazing season, incredible season for Nebraska men's and women's programs. But you had the chance to follow both teams really all throughout the season, but also throughout March Madness. You were several places. I saw you in the stands at Houston. Man, but what can you say about this season, this year for both these teams, and how excited are you about, again, moving forward with both these programs?
So I was at Cameron Indoor Arena at Duke with Amy Williams and the team. I was in Oklahoma City for both of our games with the men's team. And then, of course, I was in Houston with you for the men's Sweet 16. You know, I was thinking a lot about this as I was traveling to Houston, that if somebody came up to me or if I went up to a friend and said, you know, we're going to be playing in the Sweet 16 next year, they probably would have looked at me and said, you know, you may be president of the university, but you're nuts. You know, how could that possibly happen? And, you know, reality happened, and it was not by accident, I'm sure. You know, it's by incredible amounts of hard work by the coaches and their teams, dedication by the student athletes, having the right people at the right place at the right time. And I will tell you, you know, having gone into the locker rooms, having had an opportunity to high-five the guys and the gals, you know, after the games, and to congratulate the coaches on multiple different ways. And, you know, as the audience might be interested to know, is all of these teams, these winning teams, I have the honor of hosting in the President's Home for dinner every year. We just had the volleyball team over not too long ago, and I know that UNK Wrestling is coming up next. And then, of course, we have our wrestling team here at UNL and men's and women's roundball. And obviously, given the way the baseball and softball season's been going, and I don't want to jinx it, but, you know, they can look forward to a good dinner as well.
We keep saying it's a great time to be a Husker fan.
It's a great time to be a fan of intercollegiate athletics in general, but it's certainly a great time to be a Husker fan. But I will tell you, the emotional experience that we had in going to these games, the fan support. You know, as the Vanderbilt coach said, I thought he put it really well. He said, this is going to be like being at an away game. And
it certainly was.
And it was certainly like being at an away game.
All right. Well, on an earlier appearance on Sports Nightly, we had talked about a joint accreditation between the University of Nebraska-Lincoln and the University of Nebraska Medical Center. What does this mean, and what do Nebraskans need to know about this?
So we've been working on this for about a year and a half now. It started out with an application to the Higher Learning Commission, which is the accrediting body that accredits both UNL and UNMC. That resulted in a 700-page application, which then resulted in a site visit, which was extremely successful, which then resulted last November in approval, unconditional approval by the Higher Learning Commission, which has then resulted in several months of back and forth with the Department of Education just to solidify the final date. And the date is now going to occur sometime between the 8th and the 18th of June, which is perfect because we are hoping to have it be mid-June so that it can be effective for all involved by the beginning of the next academic year, July 1st.
Well, that's great. And I know we have gotten a lot of questions about that. So I know that's an exciting step forward for the University of Nebraska. So what are the next steps in the process?
Well, from a Department of Education perspective, believe it or not, it's as simple or as complex, depending upon how you look at it, as integrating our federal financial aid programs, our Title IV programs, to be sure that there's no student that's disadvantaged. And that's why the date is so critical. We want to be sure that we have a date window between when the last student gets their last financial aid check and the next student gets their combined financial aid check. But what that means to us is combined reporting. So, for instance, this is going to elevate our research ranking in addition to the organic and ongoing growth of our research programs to 55th in the nation. It'll allow students to transfer among and between programs. So you think about it, there are lots and lots of young men and young women that go to nursing school at UNMC that start out as undergraduate students at UNL. And when they leave when they leave UNL and they go to UNMC, they're counted as a dropout, which of course now they'll just simply be a transfer student. And so that'll enhance our 4-year and 6-year graduation rates. It'll enhance our research performance. And most importantly to me, hopefully, it will enhance collaboration among and between colleges, departments, and individual faculty members to rapidly grow our research and to continue to grow national reputation. And don't forget, we are hoping to be invited at some point to rejoin the AAU, and having enhanced national reputation, rankings, and ratings will hopefully go a long way for that.
Well, another exciting milestone that happened for the university last month is the investiture of UNK's Chancellor, Dr. Neil Schnoor. So how was that event, and what do you see in UNK's future?
Well, I was really thrilled to have been there with Neil and his family and to formally invest him. He's somebody that knows Kearney extremely well. He was on their faculty. He actually was the director of bands, and actually during the investiture ceremony, he conducted the national anthem. I reminded him at the microphone that he does have a day job and that there are plenty of people that hopefully can very ably conduct the wind ensemble, which performed the national anthem. However, Dr. Schnoor is the right person at the right time in the right place. He grew up in rural Nebraska, went to school in Pierce as a graduate, was here for many years, taught in the K-12 school system, taught for UNK, and then rose to the ranks of senior advisor to Chancellor at that time, Doug Christensen. And now, having been in California and having been in South Dakota, has had multiple very significant leadership roles and comes back to us with great experience. And in following in the footsteps of Doug Christensen, the longest serving chancellor in the history of the University of Nebraska system, we needed the right person. We needed somebody who knows Kearney and knows UNK, but also has the energy and the experience to really try to take it to the next level. And again, I think Neil and his wife Teresa are the right people at the right time. And Teresa, if the audience doesn't know this, was a school principal in Kearney for many years and actually just retired.
Wow, that's awesome. What a cool story. Well, you are a part of several really impressive committees, and not even just with the, I guess, all across the board, and including sports. And I think our listeners will be fascinating to hear about the President's Roundtable on Saving College Athletics that you are a part of.
Yeah, so, this made a few newspaper stories here and there that about a month ago, I was invited to attend a roundtable meeting in the East Room of the White House hosted by President Trump. And it was really an amazing group of people. It was, on a late afternoon, started at about 4 o'clock, and we had over 2.5 hours of very heartfelt discussion. And, many of the major conference commissioners were there, including our Big Ten Commissioner, Tony Petitti. Governor DeSantis was there. Secretary of State Marco Rubio was there. Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, was there. Of course, Charlie Baker was there, the president of the NCAA. And there were just this very small group of university presidents. There were just 3 of us there. And Nick Saban was there, and Urban Meyer was there. And it was quite a group of people, but with a shared sense of urgency that as a result of the House settlement and other factors that have been going on, that has been very difficult to maintain stability, within collegiate athletics at this time. And, not fault to anybody, but the recurring door, the revolving door of the transfer portal, issues around eligibility, how long you're eligible, issues around, for instance, state sovereignty. There are 38 states now that have passed laws about funding and support of intercollegiate athletics. No 2 are the same. And, when you talk to a student athlete, one of the things that they really want is they want to be sure that the team that they're competing against is held to the same standards that they're being held to have a national system. But without some relief of antitrust legislation, it's going to be very hard to do all of this. So getting either a pause or an exception to some of the antitrust legislation, working around the transfer portal, eligibility, bilaterally binding contracts, the CSC, and so many other areas are clearly going to be the agenda. And, and so the group has now been divided into committees, and I sit on what's called the Supervisory Committee, which is a series of university presidents, Randy Levine, Coady Campbell, Governor DeSantis. It's an interesting group of people. And we actually had our first meeting last week, and the agenda is full, the timeline is short, and the expectations are high. Let's just leave it like that.
Well, listen, I've gotten to know you here over the last couple of years, and there's probably no bigger college sports fan than yourself. And so I think we get a lot of questions about the future of college athletics. What would you say to those fans listening in that are not too happy about the state of college athletics? Is there positivity coming in the future? You're not scared about where college athletics is heading right
I am not, because I think cooler heads will prevail. And, as the audience probably knows, the president issued an executive order last week. I mean, I was quoted in the Associated Press and in the New York Times and elsewhere about being in support of the areas that the president addressed. But I think the president stated, and others are well aware, as our lawyers are telling us this, and our commissioners, is that it's literally going to take federal legislation. And whether it's going to take the SCORE Act, which is now working its way through the House of Representatives, and, Congressman Johnson said that he would do everything he could to get it to the floor of the House as soon as possible. But at some point, we're going to need, the necessary votes in the Senate to get it through, which means that there may be areas of it that, that have to be adjusted. I think the discussion that we had with our little steering committee, supervisory committee, last week was that the skinnier the bill is, meaning the fewer things that get bolted onto it, the higher the likelihood is we can get it through and get it into law. But I'll tell you this, the sense of urgency is high. I can't go to any meeting anywhere in the country on any subject without talking about 2 things. One is artificial intelligence, and what does it mean in higher education? And the other is intercollegiate athletics. And that, this pay for play and the endless revolving door of the transfer portal. There are students that were in this year's transfer portal in football 6 times. I didn't realize that. I mean, there are individuals that are coming back from professional sports who have remaining eligibility, who are 26, 27, 28 years old, who are playing for collegiate teams now because of the pay grades that are so different. And those are the kinds of things that just have to be dealt with. And I think, all the commissioners and most importantly, the student athletes themselves want some sanity put into this. And, whether this little roundtable group that has been assembled will have the energy and the ability to do it, certainly not coming from me, but if you just listen to some of the names that I rattled off a few minutes ago who are sitting around the table, these are people who are the movers and shakers. If the 6 or 8 major conference commissioners are there and, and several other very trusted people. I mean, the president of multiple professional sports groups was there. The president of the United States Olympics and Paralympics committee was there, to take some of the lessons learned from professional sports and see if they can be applied to collegiate athletics. So I think they got the right brain power and the right experience set, and now it's just a matter of getting stuff done.
Fascinating. I feel like we could talk a whole nother hour about just that alone.
Next time, we will.
Next time. All right, last thing, we just wrapped up spring football, and we're in the middle of spring volleyball. What excites you about the fall, I guess, the most, as you're getting a little bit of a taste of both these teams?
Yeah, so excited about all of that. In addition to what you just said about starting the recruits for flag football, I was at the spring game and got to stand on the turf and really watch the red and the white go at each other as they do, and very excited. I know Coach Rule is really excited about what the season is going to look like. I'm well aware it's going to be a tough season. You just have to look at the at the schedule and look at last year, and as they say in the investment world, past performance does not predict future outcome, right, or something like that. I got a lot of excitement, and I always bet on the Huskers, and the Mavs as well as the Lopers.
Oh, great stuff. Fantastic stuff. As always a pleasure chatting with you. Thanks for being here.
Look forward to next time.
Yes, we'll have you on soon enough. All right, again, that is Dr. Jeffrey Gold, the University of Nebraska System President, joining us here on Sports Nightly. Got to step aside for a break. More coming up right after this.
Nebraskans are choosing chiropractic for better health. Why chiropractic? Because it's safe, drug-free, and a cost-effective treatment option for back and joint pain. Plus, all generations can benefit from natural chiropractic care. Choose chiropractic first for pain relief or to improve your mobility, athletic performance, or overall wellness. Make chiropractic your first choice for better health, and find a chiropractic physician near you at nebraskachiropractic.org. Get your life back with chiropractic.
The color red means something to us. It means tough, ready, and powerful. It means our standards are high, and we expect the highest level of performance on and in the field. So while the Huskers are getting it done on the football field, you can count on Massey Ferguson tractors to get it done in your field. With its seamless CVT transmission and efficient AGCO-powered engine, you'll keep charging down the field all season long. Check out the full line of Massey Ferguson equipment at Osceola Implement in Osceola and True Ag and Turf in Falls City, Columbus, and Osmond.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Noddle Companies proudly supports the Huskers Radio Network. As a full-service leader in commercial real estate, we create thriving communities. Discover what's new in the Builders District in North Downtown, Noddle Hospitality's latest venture in Aksarben Village, and the contemporary living of row house townhomes on Leavenworth. We're welcoming world-class concepts from men's fashion and great eats to gorgeous homes and green spaces, all professionally managed by Noddle Services. These are the Noddle Companies, building a better Nebraska. For more information, check us out on Facebook and Instagram.
You expect your home to protect everything you love, but you don't expect that water is the reason parts of your concrete have gotten so uneven. Walkway tripping hazards, sinking pool deck, cracked driveways are dangerous threats to everyone's safety. But there's one way to learn how your concrete can be lifted. A free home inspection from Groundworks. We put water back in its place. Get your free inspection at groundworks.com. License number C142293.
I got to see my brother get married.
I would have missed my dad's birthday.
Because I wore my seatbelt, I had the privilege of being part of his special day.
I got to go home and see my family again.
Does it click yet?
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
I would have never had the chance to see my daughter become a doctor.
I was able to go to my brother's graduation.
I wouldn't have adopted my first pet.
And then it clicked. My seatbelt saved my life. Does it click yet?
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
What does it mean to be locally owned and operated? For Cenex, it means everything. It means that we know if you take your coffee to go or if you like to stay a while. It means we've helped Little Leagues get jerseys and local festivals get funding. It means we know what our communities need. So you'll always leave Cenex with a full tank, full of snacks, or full of smiles, or all of the above. And that means the world to us. Cenex, powered locally.
It's not a job.
I don't start my day by logging in or end my shift by punching out. I don't have a corner office, but I do have a seat with a view. I get to see every sunrise and every sunset. And while I may technically be my own boss, I fully accept that I am not in charge. I'm a Nebraska corn farmer, and there's nothing else I would rather be.
Brought to you by the Nebraska Corn Board.
For more than 50 years, Woodhouse has been proud to serve our communities. We're more than a dealership. We're your neighbor, your partner, and your trusted name in automotive. Generations of drivers have counted on Woodhouse for honesty, transparency, and a hassle-free experience. Every deal starts at the manufacturer's suggested retail price. Then we apply discounts and rebates to get you to your true price. No gimmicks, no surprises. Shop local, shop trusted at woodhouse.com. Hassle-free all the way to your driveway. That's Woodhouse.
The Huskers Radio Network Broadcast Center is sponsored by Akrs, where it's mower season. Get 0% financing, professional setup, and local support you just can't get at the big box store. Only
you're not quite
at
there yet.
Akrs, Midwest premier John Deere dealer. I'm getting there.
You're getting closer, but you're not quite there yet.
Just
and I know
not
it
quite
burns you inside.
Confident enough. But
For those that don't know, she has memorized the same Akrs read for I don't know how many years, but they changed it on her. So she's trying to impress. I don't know. She's trying to impress me.
No, just because sometimes we don't always have the reads. So it's nice to have a couple memorized that I can always go to that I know I can count on. And that's how I do it.
I know who I can count on, and that's Akrs.
Yeah, but you don't have it memorized.
I don't. I always have papers. There's always a printer nearby.
But you don't always have it printed out.
I do. You know, there's this thing that's called cell phones. They have email, and you can actually screenshot things and take pictures of reads.
Sometimes you're out in the field and you're just rolling with what you got.
Out here in the field.
Anyways, moving on. How about Husker baseball? There is a battle in Oregon, and they were right there in a couple of them. Had a little bit of crazy Friday, some shenanigans going on.
A lot of shenanigans.
What'd you take away?
Yeah, it was one of those series that was super frustrating to not win more than any. One, because it had a lot of national attention, but there was a lot of back and forth between the two teams. Oregon's a good team. They had one player who hadn't played a whole lot as their DH that really, really put a hurting to Husker pitching. I think the biggest issue is you cannot allow the amount of leadoff base runners the Huskers did throughout the series, whether it was in their 3 weekend starters or bullpen guys. I think you continue to see what Jay-Sean Unger is worth and his role in the back end as the closer. Ty Horn's clear. He's running into a lot of issues right now as your Friday night guy. You need that arm to be your shutdown guy, to be the pitcher that's going to set the stage for the entire series. It just has not been that over the last couple. He's really struggled. Carson Yasa, his misses are shorter, but he just too many free passes for him. That was the one game you won, and you spotted Oregon a 5-0 lead. You had to come from 5 runs down. On Friday, you had the tying and go-ahead runs in the 9th on 2nd and 3rd, and Jet Buck hits one off the barrel. And even yesterday, you still find a way to get a runner in scoring position after the Stokes double with a chance to tie it up. Mac Moyer hits a scorching hot line drive to third base, which could have brought in the tying run, and then all of a sudden you're talking about a new ball game again. The one thing remains consistent with Nebraska on the baseball diamond is offensively, they're going to be a problem for opponents. They're going to find ways to scratch, claw, put up crooked numbers. It's just the pitching staff right now, too many free passes, too many leadoff base runners. Can you find that dominance in your 3 weekend starters that is necessary to set the stage for a weekend series? And there's none bigger than USC this weekend. They're a 7 in the RPI. You win this series this weekend, and it sets you up in a really good spot. Losing this series hurts the potential of hosting a regional. But if you win this series, and then you have that potential of the Big Ten tournament and what that can provide to you. Kansas is a good team. You play them in a midweek. They're a high RPI. You have Kansas State again. And then before all that, you got another rivalry game against Creighton, the 2nd of 3, which should be a lot of fun tomorrow.
All right, again, we'll talk more baseball here coming up in the next hour with Ben and Coach Bolt. How about Husker volleyball? I mean, that's a spring match. And they look like they could win a national title. And everybody got to play. It just was, who was I talking to earlier that just, I guess it was our boss, Jason Rathie, that said it's just an embarrassment of riches that we got to see.
It's the same thing we said last year, right? It's two different teams that could win a conference.
But Coach Cook called the color commentator, and he said he thinks this team is better than last year's team.
Which is, I don't know how that's possible, but I guess it's possible. It seems like you have a good core that's coming back, right? And we had JB on last week, and there was a lot of different things that, whether it was Allie Check, I remember watching her getting injured in warmups. Bergen Riley was about as sick as she could possibly be. Like, you hear more of the stories about how many players were sick and just how sick Bergen Riley was before that match against a Texas A&M team that was about as hot as a team as you could possibly see, almost a picture-perfect team that steamrolled.
Well, and as we heard JB saying, they should have been the highest rated too.
Which is a crazy seeding, and you won't see that in softball anymore because they'll rank 1 through 32 best teams.
Mm-hmm.
So it won't necessarily be regional for that second team. It's more of who are your 32 best teams. So your best 4 seed will be at the lowest 1 seed.
So it's more fair for your number
be.
1 seed who earns the best matchup.
Yeah, and so you'll get the 1 and 2 seeds in each bracket or each regional. That should be matched up based on seeding 1 through 32. So that was a really good change to softball, but that clearly was a miss for the seeding. And boy, Kansas City to this day is probably still kicking themselves for not having Nebraska in that Final Four.
Yeah, but they look
national
good.
Semifinal.
They look good on Saturday. Still a couple more matches coming up here in the spring.
We got Coat doing the match on Friday.
We'll be calling on the Air Force on Saturday and Friday. Friday.
Is it Friday? It is Friday, 17th, right?
It's Friday and Friday, the next couple, right? And then I'll be chatting with Lauren Cook West here coming up on Thursday. So we'll have her also with, how about that duo? Lauren Cook West and Nate Rohr on Thursday.
That is a dynamic duo.
That is a dynamic duo.
That is about as dynamic as it gets.
So we'll chat with Lauren. So I'm excited about that. It's time for a ladies' night or a ladies' hour, whatever.
I don't get to stick around?
No, you don't get to be a part of that. So.
Okay.
All right, got to get to a break. We're back to wrap up hour number 1 next.
Set, hike. When champions take the field, they come ready to play. TNL Irrigation understands the value of momentum. Like a Husker drive, there's no stopping. If you live for farming and football like we do, TNL Irrigation has you covered. Check your fields from the game with a remote system, or just enjoy the play knowing our systems are reliable as a sold-out Memorial Stadium. Touchdown! Nebraska born, Nebraska strong. Husker Nation and TNL Irrigation are like no other.
Husker fans, if you're looking for a fulfilling career that's financially rewarding and provides flexibility, your local insurance agency is hiring. No matter your skills or interests, there are opportunities for you in the insurance industry. Explore the many ways you can use your skills to protect your community by checking out the IIAN job board. Find your calling and be a part of an industry that makes a difference. Go to iian.org/careers today.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
What does it mean to be locally owned and operated? For Cenex, it means everything. It means that we know if you take your coffee to go or if you like to stay a while. It means we've helped Little Leagues get jerseys and local festivals get funding. It means we know what our communities need. So you'll always leave Cenex with a full tank, full of snacks, or full of smiles. Or all of the above. And that means the world to us. Cenex, powered locally.
From the chant of Husker power to Allo Fiber powering your home and Husker Nation, Allo is the teammate you can trust. Whether you're streaming at home with Allo Internet, watching on the go with DirecTV through Allo, or checking stats and scores on Allo Mobile, Allo keeps you in the game. Bench the other guys and team up with the official Internet, TV, and mobile partner of the Huskers. Go Gig Red. Visit allofiber.com/Husker Radio.
Welcome back. Final segment here of hour number 1 of Sports Nightly before we will hand things over to Ben McLaughlin for our Nebraska Baseball Hour with head coach Will Bolt. Hey, some also really, really exciting news that came out over the last few days since we have been on the air. But how about Nebraska flag football with their first commitment? And it is Ariana Akrs out of Colorado, one of the top high school football players in the entire country. And I was actually here, ran into her, and when she was with her parents here on her visit, and got to chat with them. And I know they are very, very excited about her. Liz Sowers told me that she has been on their radar since she was an 8th grader, and she is super, super athletic. I watched a little bit of her highlights. Quick. Again, she was really impressive over the Super Bowl week in San Francisco in the high school girls flag football showcase, was the MVP. And again, this had some of the top talent from across the country in high school flag football. So I know they are really, really excited for her, and she will be here as I think in the fall. So she'll be a couple of the athletes are going to be joining here soon to continue to add those to those numbers for the Title IX, and so she'll be joining really soon. So we're excited, but that's awesome news.
And the good thing is too that we don't talk about enough is they get the full amenities of a Nebraska student athlete, right? Strength and conditioning, nutrition, all the things that you need to get bigger, stronger, faster, and you have a few years of development, right? So the first season's not till 2028. So you have time to, of course, you have to put together the roster, but for her, she knows where she's going to be, and you come here and get established and
help
get
recruit.
into strength and conditioning, help recruit, all those things, and maybe she can turn into Trey Taylor, right? And peer recruit, get some
Listen
talent.
to this. So for her high school team last season, 4,545 yards and 89 touchdowns.
I saw 89 tutties. That's big time.
And that's just what she did with her arm. Like, you should see how electric she is just running it, too. Like, she's quick and played a lot of sports in high school, too. And that was one thing that I found really interesting with Liz Sowers that, she had talked about is for a lot of high schools, they don't have the sport. And so she said a lot of the best athletes, it can translate for them. And so, they're very, very good teachers of the game because that's kind of what you have to do because it's still such a growing new sport. It's one of the fastest growing sports in women's sports, but a lot of it is going to be teaching and developing. And she's like, if you have the athleticism, we can turn you into a good flag football player. And she is extremely athletic.
I asked Keith Mann today, the incomparable Keith Mann. I said, when are the game notes going to be ready?
Are you working on a pregame show and the how we're going to put this on the air?
4 hours. It's a 4-hour pregame show.
4-hour pregame show. Are we going to have a Big Red reaction?
Yes. I already called Searles and Coatney. They're ready to go. How about this? I also wanted to give a shout out to Keith Mann and his team. They won a Super 11 award for the best football communication staff in college football.
I think they've won it how many years now?
They have a dynasty going, but they're amongst other schools. But Nebraska is amongst that group. So congrats to Keith Mann and that whole crew. Matt Smith, that whole group, Seamus.
They are unbelievable. And you want to talk about, they have a huge group that they have to, coordinate every single week.
Massive media beat. One of the biggest in the country, probably only bigger is Ohio State in the conference. And they deal with a lot. And in terms of players you get, availability, it's unlike any other place to what they do here.
It was way bigger than what Oklahoma was, coming from Oklahoma. I'm sure. How did it compare to Florida?
Yeah, it's bigger here, I would say, than Florida. It's somewhat comparable, but it's second to none. The media attention and things and the amount of places you get polled, Keith has to be on top of it, and his staff is, and that's why they win nothing but awards. All they do is win.
Win. All right, so that's going to do it for us here. We'll hand things over to Ben McLaughlin to host the baseball hour for us. No show for us tomorrow because we'll have Husker baseball on the air, but we'll be back on Wednesday for a full 2-hour show. So enjoy Husker baseball hour coming up next.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
For more than 50 years, Woodhouse has been proud to serve our communities. We're more than a dealership. We're your neighbor, your partner, and your trusted name in automotive. Generations of drivers have counted on Woodhouse for honesty, transparency, and a hassle-free experience. Every deal starts at the manufacturer's suggested retail price. Then we apply discounts and rebates to get you to your true price. No gimmicks, no surprises. Shop local, shop trusted at woodhouse.com. Hassle-free all the way to your driveway. That's Woodhouse.
The work is dirty and sometimes dangerous. It's the kind that can break your body, and if you let it, your spirit. But while there may be better ways to make a living, you won't convince me there's a better way to live. I'm a Nebraska corn farmer, and there's nothing else I would rather be.
Brought to you by the Nebraska Corn Board.
The color red means something to us. It means tough, ready, and powerful. It means our standards are high, and we expect the highest level of performance on and in the field. So while the Huskers are getting it done on the football field, you can count on Massey Ferguson tractors to get it done in your field. With its seamless CVT transmission and efficient AGCO-powered engine, you'll keep charging down the field all season long. Check out the full line of Massey Ferguson equipment at Osceola Implement in Osceola and True Ag and Turf in Falls City, Columbus, and Osmond.
Once a year, a rhythm thunders across the countryside. It can't be tamed. It can only be driven.
It's the final days of Ford Truck Month. The stampede of savings is running, but it's about to run out. So hurry into your Midwest Ford dealers today. During the final days of Truck Month, get $7,250 cash or 0% for 60 with zero down and no payments for 90 days, plus $1,000 cash on F-150.
Get to Ford Truck Month.
It's time for the Nebraska Baseball Coaches Show.
The 1-1. This one ripped into right center field. That will score Stokes. Coming around third, now being waved home is Moyer. Nebraska takes the lead. A 2 RBI single by Case Sanderson.
Brought to you by your Midwest Ford dealers.
Here's the 0-2. There's a softly hit ground ball. Dylan Carey going to have to backhand throws quickly and in time. Great play by Dylan Carey. Off to his right, deep in the hole, uses the turf. Case Sanderson digs it out and a big first out.
Find me a better college shortstop. Base hit to the outfield the way Jeter runs. Should be another one for the Huskers. This pitch is hit high in the air to deep center. Brooks chasing it to the track. Wall, gone! A 2-run blast off the bat of Case Sanderson. His second of the game, and Nebraska gets some much-needed runs here in the 8th. It's 10-7 Cornhuskers.
Now with Will Bolt. Here's your host, Ben McLaughlin, on the Huskers Radio Network.
Good evening. Welcome to the Nebraska Baseball Radio Hour here on the Huskers Radio Network. Ben McLaughlin, happy to be joined in studio by Nebraska head coach Will Bolt. Big week ahead for the Huskers. Creighton at home tomorrow, and then welcoming in nationally ranked USC here this weekend. Big opportunity for Husker fans to come out and support the boys here this weekend. Coach, thanks for taking the time. Never easy here with this type of turnaround, getting home late on a Sunday, doing this, and then right back on it on Tuesday.
Yeah, absolutely. New week here, and it's here just like that. I mean, it never stops once the spring gets here. You look up, and all of a sudden it's April, and hopefully the weather starts to cooperate with us a little bit, and we have some warmer weather, and with that, bigger crowds, and just pack the stadium.
I was on a radio show already this morning, and they were asking me about this week ahead. I was like, dang, guys, I'm barely over this weekend yet, but I suppose that's kind of the point, right? I mean, the show just rolls on, and regardless of we talk about this all the time. The base game does not care about your feelings or what happened the day before. How have you kind of passed that message on to the team? I know it's only been literally 12 hours since we were off the plane. What kind of messaging do you pass down to the boys today?
Yeah, it's very similar to even when you're in the midst of a long winning streak. Is like that line is razor thin. It's such a fine line between winning and losing, and how difficult it is to win. And it comes down to a couple of pitches, a couple of plays, especially when you're playing really good teams with aspirations that are very similar to yours. Hard fought series over the weekend. A line out in the 9th inning. It came down to the last pitch in all 3 games. I thought I was proud of the way our guys fought and competed, had a lead, and had a chance to win all 3. And that was the case all week, actually. And, be good to kind of feel that and learn from that, and understand, again, that we went on a run where we made winning look pretty easy. And, having a week like last week where you're on the wrong side of 3 of the 4 really hard-fought games, and even the game we won, you're down 5-0, and how to find your way back into it. So again, a lot of positives to take from it. I thought we had some bullpen guys that are feeling a lot better about themselves after last week. We continue to swing the bats great. If you had told me going into the Oregon series against their pitching staff that we'd hit 7 homers and hit over 300 as a team, I'd say we probably come out of there with a series win. And again, that shows why it's such a razor thin line.
Let's start with Tuesday's game with Kansas. They're as hot as any team in the country. They go out, sweep 12th ranked UCF this weekend, and kind of that game again, similar story, back and forth. We knew that was going to come down, and very intense, probably the most intense game that we've been in to that point,
right?
All year. How did you see the guys kind of respond to a moment like that, where, I mean, every game you play in the postseason is going to feel just like that?
Yeah, I mean, we were up 3-1 in the 5th inning, and felt like it could have maybe been a little bit more. And again, it came down to, basically one pitch. We had 2 strikes, and give their hitter credit. I mean, put the ball in play and got a big hit, and that was kind of the game. They brought their Friday night guy in, guy that hadn't necessarily been great, I think, as their Friday starter, so maybe they were trying to give him a different role. I honestly didn't even see what they did with their rotation in the weekend after we played them. But, they went all in, and, we just didn't have any answers really offensively after that front part of that game. It was just kind of back and forth there, but they threw the final punch, and, usually that team ends up winning.
That's the case on Tuesday, and, I mean, you knew we were going to get over the weekend with Oregon, especially playing out there. Weather was kind of hit and miss all weekend. We weren't sure we were going to get all 3 games in at one point. And you knew that series was going to be competitive. You described it as a heavyweight fight on Friday. I was listening to Coach Wazakowski after Saturday. He described it as the same way. I think Sunday was no different. How do you feel like the guys, got off the plane and bounced around and knowing what they were going to get? Attitude seemed to be great after Tuesday, and guys, it seemed like we're ready to go.
Absolutely.
Ready to fight.
Yeah, we were. You don't play as close a series. I think the run differential was even after the weekend, and at their place, how offensive that ballpark plays, how offensive they are in that ballpark. Our guys, there was no letdown or no backing down whatsoever. I mean, we were ready to go compete, had some really big performances from quite a few players, and again, the will to win and the want to win and the intensity level that it takes to win, was there. We had a chance on Friday to knock their starter out early. But again, there's a reason why he averages, well over a strikeout an inning. He's got great stuff. He's got a really good fastball. Felt like we kind of let him off the hook, though, a little bit with maybe giving him a little too much credit. I felt like we, as an offense, maybe there were some spots in the lineup where we just weren't, as committed as we needed to be, what we needed to get accomplished. And that was kind of the difference in that game. I had to go to the bullpen again way too early on a Friday. Ended up, having to throw a few too many, bullets out of the pen there. And it was a hard-fought game, but, they came on the right side of that one.
How do you walk that line of obviously building pitch count, something that we talk about a lot, something that's super important, but at the same time maybe being too passive with pitches? And you really saw that rear on Saturday, the second trip through the order. I think you guys had 3 or 4 hits in that big inning that were on the first or second pitch of the at-bat, but at the same time, making sure you're aggressive in the zone, but getting the pitch to drive while also, building that pitch count at the same time.
Yeah, and I think really the difference, like I said, on Friday was we knew that their starter liked his fastball. We knew we were going to get attacked with a fastball. Because of that, he just really likes to establish that pitch. And the key is, like you said, is just to attack the ones that are in the zone and dominate the heater strikes. And again, we did a decent job of that, enough to set up some innings, but we really had a chance to knock some innings down and just didn't kind of finish that thing off that way. So when you're facing really good pitching, you're really not going to wait them out. You can get his pitch count up, but they're going to get a ton of strikeouts too, because a lot of those, staves like Oregon's, where they have low walk totals, high strikeout totals. If you're kind of passive in the zone, you're going to hit with 2 strikes a lot. And I think it was 62% of our at-bats on Friday night had 2 strikes on us. And the fact that we were actually able to score 6 runs on 10 hits, pretty amazing that you hit with 2 strikes that many times. Not a recipe for doing a whole lot of damage.
In the Friday game, you're still able to get the tying and go-ahead runs in scoring position in the 9th inning. And a lot of the times when you talk about aspirations of regionals and beyond, it's going to come down to do you get the hit with 2 outs?
Right.
And unfortunately, on Friday night it didn't happen. On Sunday it didn't happen.
Yeah,
that's just part of the game.
The timely hitting is one of the 3 main facets of the game. Did you pitch? Did you play defense? Did you get the timely hit? And if you didn't get the timely hit, did you slug? That's kind of the other part of it. And so, yeah, Jet Buck put a great swing on a really good fastball away. It was, I think, a 98-mile-an-hour line drive to right center. Ball kind of hung up, and that's baseball.
Turn the page to Saturday. Obviously, different look, and you could tell right away a guy liked his changeup and was coming after us, the first trip through the order with that pitch a lot, and then got after him in that 1 inning. I think I told you he allowed more hits in the 4th inning than he did in any previous start. We had talked about it in one of your pregame shows, but what did you like about the way the offense then kind of changed their mindset and really hit after hit after hit and all hard hit balls?
Yeah, it was a pretty chippy start to that game. A lot of trash talking going on, and a lot of just demonstrative actions out there from their starter, looking in our dugout and kind of just doing some of that stuff, and just try to remind our guys, like, hey, like, we got to do something about it in the box. Like, let's not let's not get emotional about it. Let's just stay focused and go run off an approach. And he was getting ahead. And, once we decided that we were not going to let him get the first strike on us, we put some really good swings on it. He's got good stuff. It was fastball, changeup, slider. He could throw all three for a strike. There weren't a whole lot of fastballs. And that's also, right, you go from the day before, a guy that's heavy fastball, you see a ton of those, and then you go to a guy on Saturday that's kind of the exact opposite. That's a little bit switching gears there, and hats off to our guys for making that adjustment. And that one inning, I mean, that was the difference in the game.
Obviously, people that listened to the game yesterday or watched the game yesterday know that the chippiness kind of spilled over, and it's starting to see, it's not just us or Kansas or Oregon. You're seeing it a lot in college baseball where just emotions are running hot. How do you keep the guys composed when things like that happen, but at the same time, showing that we're not just going to lay down and let other teams bully us? I feel like, again, it's probably a fine line that you walk.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about it all the time. It takes a certain level of intensity to win. You have to embrace that. You have to not be accepting of that and run to that. And intensity can show itself in a lot of different ways. For us, we got to stay focused in the moment and on the mound. What's intensity look like? Well, it doesn't look like looking at the other team's dugout and chirping. It's, hey, do I have mound presence? It's Jay Sean Unger.
Yes,
that's what that looks like, and certainly others as well. But Jay Sean kind of personifies that with our team and just mound presence and just that intensity. On the mound and in the box, it looks like a guy that's got a narrowed gaze and, he's focused on what he's trying to get accomplished, and big body language no matter what happens, and, feeling like you're better than a guy on the mound. So that's really where that intent word, that gives you focus. And, if you don't have that, you don't have focus and you just kind of just play with your emotions a little bit, it doesn't really work out very well.
Speaking of Jay Sean, I mean, it was hard to describe on the radio the switch in conditions on Saturday. It went from a really nice sunny day, and then in the snap of a finger, probably 10 minutes, it had dropped 25 degrees. All the momentum's in their dugout. The wind is right in the face of the pitcher, and you're facing a guy that had already homered twice. I mean, the deck was stacked against Jay Sean in that situation, but we've talked about it pretty much every time that he's thrown this year. Like, he looks like the type of guy that loves that type of moment to go make those pitches. And again, we talked about it on the pregame show, but the sliders that he threw that kid, I mean, and he had him set up perfectly and just wasn't scared or backing down, and you could tell he pitched that way.
He did, and credit to Clark and Worthley for getting us Jay Sean the ball in the 8th inning, and we didn't have to go to him in the 7th, and have him get up and down a couple times there. 3 times would have been, maybe his stuff's a little less there in the 9th inning if we have to do that. So without those guys bridging, and Hill got a couple outs in there too, but allowed us to go clean in the 8th and face the top of the order, with our best bullpen arm. And but yeah, we've talked about this countless times with Jay Sean. He's fearless and he trusts his stuff.
Thinking about the offense in that game, there's a lot of times where you're down 5-0. You see the way that they're hitting the ball in the first 3 innings, and you throw your hands up. You go, not our day. Well, we'll try again tomorrow. That hasn't happened with this team, and obviously the big inning indicated that. But how do you keep them engaged and keep them, as we always say, in the fight when things aren't going your way early?
Yeah, exactly like what we just talked about. And I said that to the guys, like, look, just stay focused, stay composed, just keep competing pitch to pitch. I mean, that's as simple as it gets in the box. It's like, hey, I'm going to win this pitch, and then the next guy wins his pitch and wins his at bat, and then you look up, all of a sudden you have an onslaught team-wide attack where you have that type of inning, and it takes focus, it takes intensity, right? That focus piece of that intent to allow you to do it. And so, again, we could have gotten emotional about it and thrown our hands up and said, well, here we go. We're chasing 5 runs. We lost last night. We lost the first 2 games of the week, and you just start flailing up there. But that was the exact opposite. And that's what has made this team so much fun and so connected and just so successful up to this point, is because they really want it, and they want to win. They want to do well for each other. And that was a great example of that on Saturday.
Some guys just seem to fly under the radar their entire careers, and it's rare that a 360 hitter flies under the radar. In Case Sanderson, I mean, he always tends to get lost in conversation, or he maybe take the way that he barrels balls for granted, or his availability for granted. I know he's battled back issues since being here, but I mean, to do 2 pumps dead central, to kind of get it going, and you're starting to see him come out of his shell a little bit, be more of that vocal leader, and wasn't really his personality coming in here. What can you say to people listening about Case and what he means to this team outside of the production?
Yeah, I mean, he's got a really good eye at the plate. I think at times he kind of rides that line of being a little passive. And we saw it on the weekend. When he is aggressive in the zone to do damage, he can do it. He can do damage. And when he's aggressive in the zone, he's going to drive in runs for this team. And that's really what we need him to do, hitting in the middle of the order. There's going to be a lot of guys on base when he comes to the plate. When he's aggressive in the zone, he's got a good eye, so he's going to take the balls. When he's aggressive and ready to swing, good things happen. I mean, I've said that time and time again about Case Sanderson. He's one of the best hitters I've coached, hand-eye coordination-wise, his ability to know the strike zone, his ability to use the whole field. Now he can hit the ball 110 miles an hour, something that maybe he hadn't done early in his career. So when he swings the bat, good things typically happen, and we saw that over the course of this weekend, where he really emerged as a threat to leave the yard and to just be a run producer, because we call it hitterish in the box, where it's like, all right, like, we got a chance here to do some damage. Let's make sure we're ready to swing the bat. And he did that in a big way this weekend. And
it was great to see Overbeek put a big swing on a ball. I know the power numbers, I think, are probably surprising all of us to this point. Having 2 maybe in the middle part of April probably wouldn't have been something that we suspect, but right in the middle of it in that comeback. And I think that was the moment when I think everything flipped into our dugout. We're like, all right, like now is the time where we smelling blood in the water.
Yeah, it was the 3rd home run of the inning, for, again, a guy that hadn't been touched up at all, 180 opponent batting average, to give up 3 homers in 1 inning. That got us a little bit closer, and then for us to load the bases again after that was even more impressive. So, Beek's been good the last 10 games. He's been as good as anybody. Getting on base, just hit by pitch. He's taking some walks. And we saw him get real hot this time last year. I think those power numbers are going to continue to come. The more he's on the barrel, big, strong guy, he's going to have a chance to really make an impact the back half of the season.
And the other thing that he did was play great defense this weekend. And I think all across the board, you had to be really pleased with the way you guys handled the ball, and not the most conducive circumstances to field a baseball.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it, like, playing games in Oregon is something different than you do any time else. I mean, to take batting practice every day in the rain, to play parts of every game in the rain, you just don't do that. You don't see that very often. Maybe a game over the course of a weekend, but you just don't play in that type of condition very often. And so, yeah, I mean, no errors on the weekend, and turned some double plays, made some big plays, game-saving plays. Beek with a dive down the line to save a run there late in the game, and our outfield, Mac Moyer, Jet Buck ran down a ton of balls in left field. And yeah, I mean, you go on the road and that type of environment and play clean defense, that's doing something.
Yeah, I mean, it was even when on the practice day on Thursday, just seeing the ball was reacting on that turf when it was wet. Yeah, it was kudos to your guys for staying locked in there, because there were some really good defensive plays made to keep Nebraska in those games. It's Nebraska Baseball Radio Hour. Head coach Will Bolt with us for another few minutes here on the Huskers Radio Network. Contact 811 2 days before you dig to protect your underground utilities and yourself. It's free, it's easy, it's the law. We'll take a break with Coach. We got more coming up after the break.
Once a year, a rhythm thunders across the countryside. It can't be tamed. It can only be driven.
It's the final days of Ford Truck Month. The stampede of savings is running, but it's about to run out. So hurry into your Midwest Ford dealers today. During the final days of Truck Month, get $7,250 cash or 0% for 60 with 0 down and no payments for 90 days, plus $1,000 cash on F-150.
Get to Ford Truck Month.
It's not a job. I don't start my day by logging in or end my shift by punching out. I don't have a corner office, but I do have a seat with a view. I get to see every sunrise and every sunset. And while I may technically be my own boss, I fully accept that I am not in charge. I'm a Nebraska corn farmer, and there's nothing else I would rather be.
Brought to you by the Nebraska Corn Board.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Nebraska Lottery.
Do you have a new lotto game called Nebraska Pick 4?
Yes, sir. It costs just $1 to play. There's a $6,000 top prize with drawings every day, and you can choose from 6 different bet types.
Kind of like Nebraska Pick 3 with a bigger jackpot and more bet options?
Yes, sir. Any other questions I can answer?
Yeah, I misplaced my phone. Do you know where it is?
You're using it.
Ah, so I am. You lottery people know everything.
Straight bet top prize odds 1 in 10,000.
And now, introducing the starting lineup of your Nebraska Huskers. Starring Allo Fiber. At number 1, Allo Internet. At number 2, no satellite dish required. Direct TV through Allo. And at number 3, Allo Mobile. Allo Fiber, the official internet, TV, and mobile partner of Husker Nation. Level up your game and go to allofiber.com/Husker Radio.
You expect your home to protect everything you love, but you don't expect the ways water is breaking down your crawl space and damaging your home. Musty smells, sagging floors, mold are just a few signs your crawl space is compromised. But there's one way to get answers to all your concerns: a free home inspection from Groundworks. We put water back in its place. Get your free inspection at groundworks.com. License number C142293.
I would have never had the chance to see my daughter become a doctor.
Because my mom wore her seatbelt that day, I get to hug her when I go home.
And then it clicked. Because I wore my seatbelt, I learned that one moment in time can change a person's life forever.
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
The day we were hit was the second to last day of our high school careers.
We were about to graduate as best friends together.
And then it clicked. Because we wore our seatbelt that day, we still get to experience life together.
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Once a year, a rhythm thunders across the countryside. It can't be tamed. It can only be driven.
It's the final days of Ford Truck Month. The stampede of savings is running. But it's about to run out. So hurry into your Midwest Ford dealers today. During the final days of Truck Month, get $7,250 cash or 0% for 60 with 0 down and no payments for 90 days, plus $1,000 cash on F-150.
Get to Ford Truck Month.
The color red means something to us. It means tough, ready, and powerful. It means our standards are high, and we expect the highest level of performance on and in the field. So while the Huskers are getting it done on the football field, you can count on Massey Ferguson tractors to get it done in your field. With its seamless CVT transmission and efficient AGCO-powered engine, you'll keep charging down the field all season long. Check out the full line of Massey Ferguson equipment at Osceola Implement in Osceola and True Ag and Turf in Falls City, Columbus, and Osmond.
4, it's the Caddyshack Second Chance promotion from the Nebraska Lottery. Enter non-winning Caddyshack scratch tickets by April 22nd for a chance to win 2 VIP Nebraska golf passports and more. Caddyshack top prize odds 1 in 116,000. Just a reminder, coming up later in the show, our Nebraska baseball trivia question. Last week's question, just to remind you, Nebraska off to its best start since 2006. When it began 27-5, which Husker pitcher led Nebraska in wins that season? It was Tony Watson, and Jamie in Omaha knew that. We'll have this week's question coming up later in the show. As we continue along here, the Nebraska Baseball Radio Hour, welcome back in head coach Will Bolt. Purposely tried to avoid Mac Moyer because he deserves more of a conversation just to throw in. The weekend that he had, obviously playing against his old team, he had family in the stands. He's normally a pretty stoic figure, but he was fired up to play baseball this weekend, and you could see it. I think he hit 10 balls over 100 miles an hour this weekend, robbed a home run, and, puffed his chest out at times to say, like, I'm a good player, and you guys should know I'm a good player. And it seemed like our team responded to him as well. That would have been pretty cool to watch Mac, who was just exceptional all weekend.
Yeah, he was on the barrel, it seemed like every single time he put the ball in play. And so robbed a home run, played great defense in center field, on base a ton. Yeah, just exactly what you would hope, one of your guys would do in that, given that situation, and going back to a place where that was his home for his first year and a half in college, and didn't get to get on the field there, and I just was proud of his maturity in terms of just him not trying to do too much. I mean, he was the player he's been for us all year, and he just did it at a very, very high level, very consistent level, line drives all over the place. I think he made probably 4 outs that, the center fielder made an amazing play on him. Again, the ninth inning yesterday, he's just a line drive right at the third baseman, just took a lot of great swings, played great baseball, was an emotional spark for us, just kind of set the tone for that Saturday game. So, yeah, he played exceptionally well, not surprising for what we've seen from him all year long. But again, not easy to do, to keep your emotions in check. And again, your emotions channeled in a certain way, like we talked about in the previous segment, to just go have that intensity in the box that will allow you to be focused in the box. And yeah, he played exceptionally well.
When you think about his story this year, the door kind of cracked for an opportunity pretty early in the year and never let go. It's becoming one of the cooler stories that I can remember covering a Husker baseball team, from a guy that, was competing to just get on the field, from a late inning substitution perhaps to not just an everyday starter, but a leadoff hitter batting 400 and playing elite level defense. Like, is there a moment that even your coaches are a little bit surprised at what you're getting out of him?
I yes and no. I think we wouldn't have recruited him if we didn't think he was a great player. So he's healthy. He wasn't really healthy in the fall, and he's healthy and confident, and he's never lacked the confidence or lacked that part of his game. He's played great, and I don't think anybody. Again, do you expect anyone to hit 400 into mid-April? Not necessarily, but there have been signs from him from the day he stepped foot on campus that thought, okay, this guy's got a chance to be pretty special. And there's been times in the offseason where we kind of left the cages going, man, this is an All-American type player if we can get it put together. So, yeah, he's been great, been heck of a fun young man to coach, and his ability to kind of know the game and play to win. That's what you want. And so, and we've needed that, right? We've got had 2 key injuries in the outfield, one with Nunez, and then, Jeske's been dinged up for most of this season, honestly. That's 2 of our, penciled in corner outfielders to start the year. So Matt coming in and doing what he's done has really made our offense go.
And it was really cool to spend time with his dad, Jamie, this weekend. He's a couple hours away from Eugene, and very humble guy, as you would expect, but loves talking baseball and loves talking baseball with his sons. It was Nick and I happened to run into them in the hotel lobby. It turned into a 40-minute conversation just about baseball. Any opportunity you throw that word around that family, and they're like, okay, yeah, let's have a talk about it. But I think my point is, Jamie has passed a lot of that down to Mac of just loving the sport, and with that being able to handle adversity. And he's so mature, and just the conversations that you have with him pregame about, weird situation. Rhett Stokes and I are BSing before the game, and he comes over and he's like, hey, how do you keep your batting gloves dry during the game? He's always got kind of that knowledge and wisdom, and he's always that type of approachable teammate. And I know as a coach, that's probably the type of things that you love to see, especially from a newcomer.
Yeah, he's been an awesome clubhouse addition first and foremost. It starts there. He clicked with our guys right away. He's one thing I've always noticed is when he's done taking his round of BP, he always stands next to the cage and makes sure that when the guy behind him is done hitting, he tells him great job right after every single time. It never fails. That's what he does. And little stuff like that goes a long way with your teammates. And he grew up in a big league clubhouse. He has intimate knowledge of the game. He loves baseball. Obviously Jamie, you don't play that long if you don't love it, right? I know he's making a great living playing baseball, but he did it for the love of the game. And he just absolutely loved every part of being a big league, pitcher. And so Mac was around a lot of that growing up. His older brothers are in professional baseball. He's got a sister that's a track athlete, and just very athletic family. Bunch of winners is what they are.
And nice to see that kind of permeate within the team too. You mentioned, the situation in the outfield. You got a freshman on one side of him, right, with Grigo, who's just, he's really going through his first college slump that he's ever had. And to have an ambassador like Mac and see the way that he talks to him, and then I know Jet and Drew are really close, to see that teammates pick each other up. I mean, we talk about the closeness of the team and team really liking each other. That has to help in moments like that when maybe things aren't going right or you're dinged up. Jeske dealing with the hamstring injury. He's in his own world as it is. But, even he's human, and you got to face the reality that sometimes this sport isn't the easiest to handle.
Yeah, and you said it. I mean, Jet Buck's another guy who's not only been an awesome baseball player for us, but an unbelievable addition to our club, our clubhouse, taking Drew Grigo under his wing, Devin Nunez as well, and just – again, a guy who just wants to do what he can to help and to be part of a really successful team. And, it takes those type of guys. It takes those guys that are upperclassmen in your program. And both those guys being new players in our program who have really taken on, even if they're not necessarily the vocal leaders, I mean, that's leadership. A fifth-year guy who's 23 years old to take on a freshman and befriend him in that way is pretty special.
They're always sitting together on the bus, right in the front. I mean, normally the seniors like to hang out in the back. And my gosh, the throw he made in left field, and you made a comment to me that's kind of stuck with me, is that he wants to do it. It's rare you get a guy that plays shortstop, kind of in control of everything. Then you get to a new place and you're like, okay, the shortstop's pretty good. I'm going to bounce around and maybe play second. But you said the plan all along was to put him in the outfield, and you have to have a certain kind of mentality to be okay with that and thrive in that. And none more highlighted than that Derek Jeter throw from 180 feet away from home plate.
Yeah, the play you're referencing, kind of a flare line drive from a left-handed hitter, took him towards the foul line, on the run, makes a throw over the runner, one hop, perfect to the plate. You just don't see that. You don't see that in college where you have a guy that can make that type of an athletic play, getting rid of the ball the way that he did. He's got a cannon for an arm. I mean, that was a big play in that game. That was when they were trying to kind of stretch their lead right there, and that was a double play that got us off the field. I believe it was first and third, one out when that play happened. And so, Jet's a baseball player. That's the best way to describe him.
Yeah, it's been pretty cool to see that kind of transpire on the field as well. I did want to kind of finish the conversation with your defense, because that doesn't just happen. Oregon doesn't just happen unless that's something that's instilled from the guys at the beginning. I think since you've taken over here, it's always been a point of emphasis. Just every day, what's that look like? I mean, I get to see it down on BP before the starters go through their rounds, how intent they are and going through their practice, and situations like Thursday where they're not just out having fun in the rain on the field. They're testing the surfaces and all that kind of stuff. What's the philosophy, but having that translate to the field about how you actually, take care of the ball, especially in those big time situations?
Yeah, I think it just starts with your daily routine. Coach Harv in the outfield, they have their daily stuff that they work on, and then in batting practice, they we kind of move them around, slide up some, straight up for a round, so they have to be put in different positions that they're going to be put in on the game, and then. Coach Sirianni is just very diligent with what he does with the infielders, very fundamental. They have a routine. They know what their routine is. They play good catch. They go through their short hops. We have a routine with the ground balls that we do. The guys just take it very seriously. They want to be really good at it. That's where it starts. But those two guys definitely set the tone, and, CB helps out with the catching as well. And, those guys have all done an awesome job. And one thing maybe I brought this up last week or a couple of weeks ago, I don't remember, but one thing that can't be overlooked is like the amount of times that we've been in the right spot. I mean, hard line drives to the outfield. We have an outfielder right there.
One at short this weekend, right at DC. I think second and third.
And Siri had just moved DC over. I mean, literally right before that.
I think DC even pointed to him after he caught the line drive.
He did. And, there was a time yesterday I looked at Siri, like, hey, we got DC where we want him with the infield in. He said, yeah, that's where he's going to hit the ball. And the next pitch, he hit it right there. So when we're using data for that, I mean, there's data versus lefty versus righty. Maybe where some of the tendencies are for some of our pitchers and their pitches to go. So, again, not only have we played really clean defense, but those guys have done an awesome job putting them in the right position to go succeed out there and taking away a lot of hits.
That's an interesting point you bring up because, you can go down the rabbit hole with data. I mean, there's no shortage of data anywhere. How do you pertain the relevant information whether you're not giving the guys too much, specifically in the box, with a particular pitcher or sequencing or, hot, cold zones, whatever it might look like, giving them the right amount of information where they can still, see ball, hit ball?
Yeah, and defensively, to answer the first part of the question, we have a card that we give them where it tells them where to play, depending on if it's a right or left-handed pitcher, it's different maybe for each guy, how good a runner they are, and basically if they bunt or not. And so that's kind of where that starts. And then in a box, it's usually just, little cues like, hey, you're going to hunt elevation on this guy, like get the ball elevated. This guy really loves to throw the ball to his glove side, so be ready for that. We have kind of the picture for they can see where the hot zones are of like, hey, this is where you do damage on a guy like this. And so don't want to overload it. We also use count tendencies at times and take some chances on some counts in the box. But again, for the most part, I've always been a type of offensive coach that likes the players to just to play and to just trust their move, we say, in the box, and just trust what they're doing, and just put their best swing on the ball.
Yeah, we talk all the time about how the game's changed. You didn't have a lot of this when you were playing.
No.
All the data and pitch comms and defensive alignments and all that. Game is continuing to move and evolve as we roll along. Woodhouse has been a trusted partner in your everyday since 1975. Shop for your next vehicle with the home team at Woodhouse, the official auto dealer of Nebraska Athletics. We got more with Coach Bolt coming up next.
What does it mean to be locally owned and operated? For Cenex, it means everything. It means that we know if you take your coffee to go or if you like to stay a while. It means we've helped Little Leagues get jerseys and local festivals get funding. It means we know what our communities need. So you'll always leave Cenex with a full tank, full of snacks, or full of smiles, or all of the above. And that means the world to us. Cenex, powered locally.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Not All Companies proudly supports the Huskers Radio Network. As a full-service leader in commercial real estate, we create thriving communities. Discover what's new in the Builders District in North Downtown, Not All Hospitality's latest venture in Aksarben Village, and the contemporary living of row house townhomes on Leavenworth. We're welcoming world-class concepts from men's fashion and great eats to gorgeous homes and green spaces, all professionally managed by Not All Services. These are the Not All Companies, building a better Nebraska. For more information, check us out on Facebook and Instagram.
You expect your home to protect everything you love, but you don't expect the ways water is breaking down your foundation and damaging your home. Cracks in walls and uneven floors are just a few signs your foundation is compromised. But there's one way to get answers to all your concerns: a free home inspection from Groundworks. We put water back in its place. Get your free inspection at groundworks.com. License number C142293.
I got to see my brother get married.
I would have missed my dad's birthday.
Because I wore my seatbelt, I had the privilege of being part of his special day.
I got to go home and see my family again.
Does it click yet?
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
I would have never had the chance to see my daughter become a doctor.
I was able to go to my brother's graduation.
I wouldn't have adopted my first pet.
And then it clicked. My seatbelt saved my life. Does it click yet?
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
What does it mean to be locally owned and operated? For Cenex, it means everything. It means that we know if you take your coffee to go or if you like to stay a while. It means we've helped Little Leagues get jerseys and local festivals get funding. It means we know what our communities need. So you'll always leave Cenex with a full tank, full of snacks, or full of smiles, or all of the above. And that means the world to us. Cenex, powered locally.
The work is dirty and sometimes dangerous. It's the kind that can break your body, and if you let it, your spirit. But while there may be better ways to make a living, you won't convince me there's a better way to live. I'm a Nebraska corn farmer, and there's nothing else I would rather be.
Brought to you by the Nebraska Corn Board.
For more than 50 years, Woodhouse has been proud to serve our communities. We're more than a dealership. We're your neighbor, your partner, and your trusted name in automotive. Generations of drivers have counted on Woodhouse for honesty, transparency, and a hassle-free experience. Every deal starts at the manufacturer's suggested retail price. Then we apply discounts and rebates to get you to your true price. No gimmicks, no surprises. Shop local, shop trusted at woodhouse.com. Hassle-free all the way to your driveway. That's Woodhouse.
The Huskers Radio Network Broadcast Center is sponsored by Akrs. Where it's mower season, get 0% financing, professional setup, and local support you can't get at the big box store, only at Akrs, the Midwest's premier John Deere dealer. Ben McLaughlin joined in studio by Nebraska head coach Will Bolt. Had a lot of guys kind of banged up, and, Tanner Fowler, our trainer, does such a good job keeping them healthy, but what's the point of the season? We're playing a lot of games and a lot of days. How important is that part of it where guys are getting treatment even for injuries that aren't keeping them out of the lineup, but, you'll notice a guy has a wrap on his hand or whatever the case might be, just dealing with those parts that are Beak took a 95-mile-an-hour fastball in the bicep. I can't imagine that's feeling real good right about now. I mean, just the little things like that are getting guys in position to where they can go compete at this high level.
Yeah, I mean, our training staff, starting with Tanner Fowler, does an awesome job of, taking care of the guys. We collaborate with Andrew Stewart and APL, our performance lab, and we wear the catapults. It kind of gives us data in terms of the load management with the guys, and we get a sprint test with them once a week to kind of get a feel for how well they're moving and all those, force plate data and some of those things. So the recovery piece of it is very, very big, and that is something that as the season rolls along, you just don't have a whole lot of practice days anymore. I mean, Thursday practice is kind of the one day where you get a chance to move around and get some things done. But, man, these guys go so hard. They play so hard. They put their bodies on the line. I mean, we got 77 hit by pitch as a team. The guys are catching bullpens, and, they're laying their bodies on the line every single play. And, you're going to get dinged up. I mean, when you play every day, you're very rarely going to feel like a 10. So the recovery piece of it's really big. And Tanner, like I said, does a great job. Our training staff back here as well. And just injuries are part of the game. Try to prevent them as well as you can. But, like you said, you can't really a 95-mile-an-hour ball to the bicep or to the foot, or, DC fouled a ball off his leg yesterday that I can speak from experience that doesn't feel very good, and he doesn't wear the shin guard or anything either. So, it's part of the game. But, our staff does an amazing job of, keeping them healthy and getting them recovered, and, whether it be all the gadgets that we have now, too. You talked about the analytics of the game. I mean, I feel like just the ability to help recovery has just gotten better and better. And again, the resources we have at Nebraska are second to none when it comes to those things. And Tanner's very forward thinking, trying to pursue every avenue to help guys get healthy as fast as possible. I mean, we taped I think he had a fake hamstring on Will Jeske this weekend, and got a chance to see him get in there and get a pinch hit late in that game. And Tanner's doing a great job along with the rest of his staff.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was going to go next. And the guys want to play. I mean, it's killing them to be out of the lineup. And Mikan was the same way. I think Dylan was the same way. Jeske hits 102 right at the second baseman and has to just if those that didn't see it, he was the little engine that could, trying to get up first base, knowing how important that run was in the 8th inning. And that speaks to Will, but also speaks to all the guys, to fight through that and just do all the things necessary to get in the lineup. You can tell it means a lot to these guys to put on that uniform and go play, really regardless of the external circumstances. Yeah,
the guys that are true competitors, man, and we got a bunch of them, is just they want to help the team. How do I help the team, and how do I go be my competitive best when the moment may be the biggest, or maybe feel like the smallest, but they just want to help the team. And certainly it's crushing Will that he's not able to be out there every day, and certainly a guy that's in a limited number of at-bats that's hitting over 350 with, a slug, I think, probably close to 700. I mean, it's tough not having him in the lineup. I mean, he seems like he squares the ball up every time he's in the box, and he looks dangerous. And again, the sooner we can get him feeling better and getting back out there and helping the team, the better we're going to continue to play.
It's always amazing to me, seeing behind the curtain all that goes to make this engine work. I mean, Connor Behrens is wearing every hat there is. You already talked about your assistants, and that was just part of their duties, right? I mean, seeing Lance at third and Coach Sirianni work with his guys. Obviously, Tanner, the nutritionist, Riley. I mean, the amount of data that you guys are consuming. How do you go about just structuring a day and making sure, hey, are we asking the right questions? Are we implementing things the right way? Obviously, the baseball's on the forefront, but to get the baseball to the level that you need it to be, all the other stuff has to click and work, and it seems like you've got a pretty good thing going right now.
Yeah, and Kyle Nicholson's our director of player development, so he kind of heads up the liaison between all the support staff and our players, and trying to get them in the best position to succeed. And none of the stuff really works without Garrett Plumley, our strength coach, being a baseball guy. Again, doing what he can to help keep our guys healthy, keep them fresh. He brings a great positive attitude to the weight room, and guys really love being around the weight room because of that. And so everything works together. Riley Loy, like you said, with nutrition. Our days are structured in that breakfast is required. You have to get up and start your morning with breakfast, and it's a way for our guys to obviously the nutrition piece of it's big, but getting their day started and not sleeping in and, being lazy at the front part of the morning, even though you may want to sometimes, and also sitting down and breaking bread together first thing in the morning is really important too.
Yeah, and it's really cool to see, excuse me, and then obviously the baseball part to come. And when you see all those pieces come together, that's when you've got a culture, and that's when you've got a program built. And like to go back to the beginning of the show, it's going to be intense moments, basically from here on out. And it seems like you guys are well mentally prepared to handle games like Sunday, Saturday, Friday, Tuesday, so on and so forth. And I know it's going to be another huge week this week.
Yeah, I mean, we challenged, our guys. We've challenged them each year that they've been here with a very tough schedule. These seniors have seen basically everything there is to see in college baseball up to this point. On the road at Auburn, and playing in regionals, and playing in MLB, MLB Network to start the season, and just stuff like that prepares them for these moments. And again, baseball's it's a marathon; it's not a sprint. And so each week's kind of a snapshot in time. You go 4-0. Again, sometimes it can look pretty easy, but then you always have to look at there was a moment or two in each game where each team kind of had to decide which way this thing was going to go. And sometimes it's pure luck.
A line drive going 5 feet either way.
On either side, right? And you mentioned it. We were on the good side of that on Saturday. I mean, Siri had DC right in the right spot, line drive, 1 foot, 2 foot more to his left or to his right is a 2-run single, and they take the lead. And, we were on the wrong side of it on Sunday. Moyer's ball was lying right to the left fielder or to the third baseman. And so, it's just, you just keep punching, you just keep showing up, and you just keep competing and keep trusting their process, and understand that, hey, that we're right there. I mean, we're a couple of plays away from going 3-1 or 4-0 last week. And so not to make wholesale changes in terms of what you're doing, but also understanding that if there's just another inch or two that you can give, one more oomph that you can give, to get back on the right side of it, make sure we do that.
Woodhouse has been a trusted partner in your everyday since 1975. Shop for your next vehicle with the home team at Woodhouse, and the official auto dealer of Nebraska Athletics. One final break with Coach. We'll wrap it up after this.
You expect your home to protect everything you love, but you don't expect the ways water is breaking down your basement and damaging your home. Mold, cracks, and of course visible water are just a few signs your basement is compromised. But there's one way to get answers to all your concerns. A free home inspection from Groundworks. We put water back in its place. Get your free inspection at groundworks.com. License number C142293.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
What does it mean to be locally owned and operated? For Cenex, it means everything. It means that we know if you take your coffee to go or if you like to stay a while. It means we've helped Little Leagues get jerseys and local festivals get funding. It means we know what our communities need. So you'll always leave Cenex with a full tank, full of snacks, or full of smiles, or all of the above. And that means the world to us. Cenex, powered locally.
From the chant of Husker power to Allo Fiber powering your home and Husker Nation, Allo is the teammate you can trust. Whether you're streaming at home with Allo Internet, watching on the go with DirecTV through Allo, or checking stats and scores on Allo Mobile, Allo keeps you in the game. With Allo plus DirecTV plus Allo Mobile, you get the ultimate teamwork. Internet you can count on, TV you can stream anytime, anywhere, and nationwide coverage you can depend on. Bench the other guys and team up with the official Internet, TV, and mobile partner of the Huskers.
Back one final time with Coach Bolt here on the Nebraska Baseball Radio Hour. Time now for our Nebraska Lottery Trivia question. The first person to text the correct answer to 402-413-2400 will receive $100 in Nebraska Lottery scratch tickets. On Saturday, every starter in Nebraska's lineup tallied a hit for the first time since 2024. Who led the Huskers in hits that season in 2024? First person to identify that will win the prize from the Nebraska Lottery. Big week ahead, Coach. I know we've been kind of circling this week in terms of fan support. I mean, I know it's going to be nice on Tuesday, tomorrow night with Creighton, a game that everybody's excited for, and then welcome in one of the best teams in the country this weekend. And if you're a Husker fan, this is the week to pay attention and get out to the yard.
Absolutely. Need all the fan support that we can get. We always have great fan support. Let's pack Haymarket Park, Hawks Field, and let's make it loud and rowdy on Tuesday night, and then the big weekend coming up with USC, and a lot of alumni will be in town. Welcome them back for the weekend, and you've got a top 10 RPI team coming in. So and everybody from here on out pretty much is going to be striving for the same things that we are. So. Big week ahead. They're all big, none bigger than tomorrow night.
Yeah, and 2-week stretch here where it's postseason feel, and they probably all will be to this point. I know the guys are probably taking it a little bit easy today after getting home late last night, but right back on it tomorrow, and I know it's certainly going to be another competitive game with the Jays, just like it was round one.
Yeah. Again, just come out and be our competitive best, and I trust our guys are going to be in the right frame of mind to go get after it.
Coach, appreciate you coming in. Thanks a lot.
Yep.
Coach coming in on our Nebraska Baseball Radio Hour. Huskers big week ahead, as we've talked about. Get out there, support the boys. Creighton in town tomorrow, and then welcome in USC here this weekend. As Coach said, number 7 RPI in the country. Big opportunity for the Huskers here this week. That'll do it from us. Appreciate everybody tuning in. We'll talk to you tomorrow from Hawks Field at Haymarket Park. Have a good night.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
For more than 50 years, Woodhouse has been proud to serve our communities. We're more than a dealership. We're your neighbor, your partner, and your trusted name in automotive. Generations of drivers have counted on Woodhouse for honesty, transparency, and a hassle-free experience. Every deal starts at the manufacturer's suggested retail price. Then we apply discounts and rebates to get you to your true price. No gimmicks, no surprises. Shop local, shop trusted at woodhouse.com. Hassle-free all the way to your driveway. That's Woodhouse.
It's not a job. I don't start my day by logging in or end my shift by punching out. I don't have a corner office, but I do have a seat with a view. I get to see every sunrise and every sunset. And while I may technically be my own boss, I fully accept that I am not in charge. I'm a Nebraska corn farmer, and there's nothing else I would rather be.
Brought to you by the Nebraska Corn Board.
The color red means something to us. It means tough, ready, and powerful. It means our standards are high, and we expect the highest level of performance on and in the field. So while the Huskers are getting it done on the football field, you can count on Massey Ferguson tractors to get it done in your field. With its seamless CVT transmission and efficient AGCO-powered engine, you'll keep charging down the field all season long. Check out the full line of Massey Ferguson equipment at Osceola Implement in Osceola and True Ag and Turf in Falls City, Columbus, and Osmond.
Once a year, a rhythm thunders across the countryside. It can't be tamed. It can only be driven.
It's the final days of Ford Truck Month. The stampede of savings is running, but it's about to run out. So hurry into your Midwest Ford dealers today. During the final days of Truck Month, get $7,250 cash or 0% for 60 with 0 down and no payments for 90 days, plus $1,000